Good evening and welcome to the March 9th, 2026 City Council regular meeting. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mayor Mayhew and I'll be presiding tonight. Deputy City Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Murphy. Here. Councilmember Watson.
Here.
Councilmember Holloway.
Here.
Councilmember Washington.
Here.
Councilmember Cotton.
Present.
Councilmember Christensen.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Cotton, will you please lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilmember Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Holloway. Is there any discussion?
Point of order, Mayor.
State your point.
We have a question.
State your point of order.
Point of order is that there's a question from a council member.
Sorry, we're calling for any discussion on the agenda.
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to the agenda.
Now would be the time, Councilmember Cotton.
Yes. Yes, I'd like to make an amendment that would, in effect, be open a line of discussion, which would be fine after the FNA's discussion on later in the program with regards to resolution number 1452, rules of procedure of the City Council. To open some discussion under specifically rules 5, 6, and 7, just to bring some information to light.
Is there a second?
Second.
A really technical thing. I think you mean resolution 1542.
1542. Did I get my numbers mixed up? Am I dyslexic?
All right, sorry. And which council member seconded that?
I did, and somebody down there.
Councilmember Murphy. Moved by Councilmember Cotton, seconded by Councilmember Murphy to add a discussion in Finance and Administration Committee of Resolution 1542, sections 5, 6, and 7. Any discussion? Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, I'm curious if that's something that would be recommended for an executive session or not.
I think it depends.
Okay.
Standard
So,
lawyer
cross that
answer.
bridge.
I think it's going to depend on where we're going with the conversation. So if I could defer till later in the evening.
Councilmember Holloway.
Would this come under FNA or would this come under committee of the whole? It didn't come up through FNA.
No, it's, I said after the FNA discussion.
Okay, I'm just replying back to what the mayor had said.
All right, so to clarify, this would be an item under Committee of the Whole, discussion of Resolution 1542, Sections 5, 6, and 7. Is that correct, Councilmember Cotton?
That is correct, sir.
Any further discussion?
Sorry.
Councilmember Johnson?
Just to clarify, this is on the little dinosaur.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor of the,
Chair,
sorry, Councilmember Holloway.
can I get, what are the bullet points under those sections to be discussed?
Councilmember Cotton.
Specifically, under Rule 5, there's some reports that that I'm not aware of the council ever receiving that are supposed to be included in our agenda packets. Council pending business lists, council meeting follow-up reports. Under Rule 6 and Rule 7, this is has to do with the roles and responsibilities of committee chairpersons and department heads.
Councilmember Christensen.
Could I just make a request? If anyone's able to send a copy or print that, just so that I can look at it or we can pull it up on the screen, that would help me a little bit. Because I don't know where it is off the top of my head. I know I have it in binder somewhere at home, but that's not gonna help me at this moment. Oh, okay.
I have an advantage you don't have. I have people on either side of me looking it up as we're talking. Yes, looks like we'll get, no, let's send it out. Sorry, were you wanting to discuss that now?
No, I'm just making a request so that when we get to it,
Yeah.
I can look at it,
That's
because
what I
I
thought.
don't know if I
Yeah,
see the.
That's
that
what I
part.
thought. Okay, we'll get that done.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion of the motion to add an item under committee of the whole? Okay, see no further discussion. All those in favor of adding the agenda item under committee of the whole, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Any further discussion of the agenda? Councilmember Johnson.
Move to add recognition of service under proclamations following the presentation from the State Auditor's Office.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Cotton, moved by Councilmember Johnson to add recognition of service as an item under after the presentation by the State Auditor's Office. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion passes and the proposed agenda is so amended. Any further discussion of the agenda? Seeing none, those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Agenda as amended is approved. So this evening, we have members from the Washington State Auditor's Office here for the city's exit conference on their audit for fiscal year 2024. Welcome to our guests, and we will turn the floor over to you for your presentation.
All right, so before they begin, I'm going to kick it off. I'd like to take a moment to welcome the State Auditor's Office to the City of Snoqualmie for our fiscal year 2024 exit conference. Specifically, I'd like to recognize from the SAO Haji Adams, the Audit Manager, June Lee, the Assistant Audit Manager, and Zach Shelton, the Audit Lead. Over the past 4 months, the SAO has diligently conducted a fiscal year 2024 audit of the city's financial statements, important areas of financial control, and our compliance with the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund program requirements. Certainly is a mouthful. Following this exit conference, in the days ahead, the SAO will publish 3 separate reports on their website. This includes an accountability audit report, financial statements audit report, a report on compliance with Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds program requirements. And it's important to know that the effort the SAO has put into conducting the audit and staff has put into facilitating the audit is to not mandatorily check a box. It really is far more important than that. These audits represent a powerful tool that can help the city identify vulnerabilities, enhance accountability, ensure transparency, and build public trust and confidence in the management of the city's common resources. All this work the SAO pours independently into an audit and the audit opinions produced can signal financial health and a precautionary vigilance, which can help cities such as ours negotiate better interest rates and earn community confidence. And we can't thank the SAO enough for their hard work. So with that said, I'd like to invite Haji Adams up to present the city's fiscal year 2024 audit results. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, my name is Haji Adams. I'm the audit manager, and I'm with Zach Shelton, who was the audit lead, and then June Lee, who was the supervisor as well on the audit. And then we have provided you a packet of information, so that does include the copy of the draft audit reports that will be issued, and then also the exit conference document for today as well. So with that, I'll hand it over to Zach, and he'll go over the results of the audit.
All right, thanks, Haji. All right, so if everyone will pull out your packet, and we'll start with that first page there where it says Office of the Washington State Auditor. So this is our exit conference of the City of Snoqualmie, as was stated. So We have three different reports that we are publishing. And so I wanted to go through the three really quickly, and then we'll go through in each as detail. So the first is the accountability audit, and that was for January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024. There's also the financial statement audit of that same period, January 1 through December 31, 2024. And then the report on compliance with coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds program requirements for the same period of January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024. So I'll start by going to page 7. So if you look in the middle, at the bottom, the page number is page 7. There's two different page numbers, but page 7, and it says audit results and results in brief. So that's the first one we'll be looking at. Perfect. And so this report describes the overall results and conclusions for the areas that we've examined, which we'll go through a little bit today. But in keeping with general audit practices, we don't examine every transaction, activity, policy, internal control, or area, but we wanted to state that the city complied in all material respects with applicable state laws, regulations, its own policies, and provided adequate controls over the safeguarding of public resources. So then looking down at about the audit, we completed a risk assessment for the year ended December 31st, 2024. And then we examined the following areas during the audit period. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about these today and the testing that we did for those. So for the police department with the evidence room, we worked closely with the police department to review evidence to ensure that it was being kept correctly, it was being adequately tracked, and that they were able to basically show us pieces of evidence that we requested. Additionally, we also reviewed tracking and monitoring of theft-sensitive assets such as computers, tools, and equipment. So we worked with several departments in the city to look at a list of assets that they had, and then we would review those assets in real time to make sure that they existed and they were tracked correctly. We also reviewed surplus equipment with disposition and receipt of sales proceeds. So we worked closely with the IT department to make sure that the city is tracking the disposition of assets properly and receipts of those sales. And then additionally, for all local governments, we also review open public meetings, compliance with minutes, meetings and executive session requirements. And part of that is reviewing the minutes. And then additionally, we review financial condition and reviewing for indications of financial distress. So I always like to put a plug in there for the financial condition that we have a really great tool called the Financial Intelligence Tool. And it's on our website at sao.wa.gov. And that's a great place to see the financial health of your city, but also to be able to compare your city to cities across the state. And so that's a great tool to be able to go in and see each fund and kind of track that, as well as, again, like I said, see results from other states as well, or other cities. All right, and so next we're going to move to the next report, which is the financial statement audit report. And so that is going to start on page 14 of your packet. And so, like I said, it's 14 in the middle at the bottom. And so the first one is the report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. And so we've audited in accordance with auditing standards for generally accepted in the United States of America, and we issued an unmodified opinion on the fair presentation of the city's financial statements in accordance with its regulatory basis of accounting. So unmodified is the opinion that you want to receive, and it provides assurance that the financial statements are fairly stated and are materially correct. And so in addition, we also report on internal control over financial reporting. And if you turn over to the next page on page 15, we are required to alert you of any deficiencies in internal controls, but we're pleased to report that we did not identify any deficiencies in internal controls that we consider to be a material weakness. And then additionally, it's important to note that we have ensure that their city's financial statements are free from material misstatement. And so we perform tests of its compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements where noncompliance could have a direct and material effect on the financial statements. But again, our opinion, we do not express any instances of noncompliance or other matters that are required to be reported under government auditing standards. And so now we're flipping that page again, and we're going to page 17 now. And so this is the report on the audit of the financial statements themselves. And so on page 17, you'll see the report on the audit of the financial statements. So we've audited the financial statements, like I said, for that year of ending December 31st, 2024. And then we also have an unmodified opinion on the regulatory basis of accounting or the BARS manual. So again, that unmodified opinion is what you want to receive. And again, it provides support to know that your financial statements are fairly stated and are materially correct. And then moving forward to page 18 as well, management's responsible for preparing the fair presentation of the financial statements. And that includes determining the basis of accounting and then preparing the financial statements. We're required to evaluate certain risks that we may bring to your attention. And so there is a risk that management has the ability to circumvent certain controls, but we're pleased to report that we noted no instances where management was able to circumvent certain controls there. All right. And then lastly, we have one more thing we want to bring to your attention with the report. We have the report on compliance with coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery fund program requirements. Again, it's a pretty long one. So we're going to go to page 25 for that one. And I'll give Drew a chance to go all the way down. Perfect. And so we examined the city of Snoqualmie's compliance with these compliance requirements for activities allowed or unallowed, and also for allowable costs and cost principles with this federal funding. And so recipients would otherwise be required to undergo a single audit or a program-specific audit, but in this case, they were able to do an attestation, or in this case, the independent audit. And so management is responsible for the city's compliance with the specified requirements. And then our responsibility is to express an opinion over the city's compliance. And so we will see that our examination does not provide a legal determination of the city's compliance with specified requirements, but in our opinion, the city of Snoqualmie complied in all material respects with the aforementioned requirements during the period January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2024. All right, and then lastly, I also wanted to turn your attention to the very last page that we have as well. On the very back, page 34, we wanted to talk really quickly about summary of uncorrected items. And so we have one uncorrected misstatement on the financial statements that we wanted to talk about. First, we believe that these uncorrected misstatements are not material in nature, and we are also confident that management will correct these in the following audit. But this is regarding the compensated absences liability, as the city did not properly implement major BARS changes for new requirements in determining the valuation of compensated absences liability. This was a year of BARS implementation for compensated absences, and so the city was required to evaluate the likelihood that leave will be used and paid according to historical use, among other requirements. So again, just wanted to put that out there that, again, we don't expect these to be material. And then again, we will expect management to correct these in the following audit. And so before we go over to June for a few more closing remarks, were there any questions over the reports that I just went through at all? No? Perfect. Okay, before I turn it over to June, just wanted to highlight the audit highlights. And so I just wanted to say thank you first to city staff and council for your consistent communication and your dedication to the audit process. It does not go unnoticed. But then in particular, we also really want to thank Drew, Jennifer, Kyla, and Anne for their commitment to providing audit requests in a timely manner, resulting in an efficient audit. They did basically a back-to-back audit, and they were more than happy to continue to provide us support and just constant communication, which was really great for us. So I'm going to turn it over to June really quickly for a few more closing remarks.
All right. Okay, so with our official closing of this audit tonight, all of the reports that Zach just covered will be issued in about a week. You'll get a notification email once those reports are posted on our website. So let me clarify, you meaning Drew and Jen, so you won't be bothered with all of those emails. At the same time, you will receive an audit survey. We love to hear from you on things that you like or don't like about the audit and how we can do better next time. So any feedback is much appreciated. Also, since we perform an attestation and will issue a report on the compliance of recovery fund expenditures, we will send you a reminder email with instructions on how to submit the report to the U.S. Department of Treasury. So we were able to complete this audit within budget. The final audit costs approximate what we quoted at the beginning of this engagement. Your next audit for fiscal year 2025 is scheduled later this year around October or November. It will cover both the accountability and financial statement sections. So if you spend more than $1 million in federal funds, we would like to know as soon as possible. So just to mention that the 1 million is the new threshold that kickstarts a single audit. So if a single audit is required, then we need to reconsider the timing of your next audit so that we can meet your federal deadline. So before we finish up here, just one more reminder that there are some complimentary services that we offer to our clients. So help is available if you need it. I'll just name a few examples. Our local government support team provides a one-to-one technical assistance, answers questions on the latest accounting and auditing topics. And this team also assists on all of those annual report filings. And then our Center for Government Innovation team offers lien services, cyber checkups, and some helpful tools and checklists from the resource library. So if you need to find out more information, definitely go visit our website for a full list of those services, and that's sao.wa.gov. And at this time, I would like to ask if you have any questions for us to answer.
If I could just ask for the benefit of those here and those watching, our residents, we'll be posting the results of the audit on our website, but if they wish to see the results directly at the state auditor's website, where would they go to see those results?
It's the same website. It's the www.sao.wa, and then you just put in City of Snoqualmie and then search the report and it should find it.
Great. And when do you expect those will be up? Maybe it'll be at least a week till it's finalized.
In
About a week. Great.
So,
Any questions, council?
right.
All right.
Thank
Thank you all
coming
very
on.
much for the great service with the audit and for turning up tonight and telling us about the results. Thank you very much.
All right, so I'm just going to have some concluding statements. This work between us and the SAO concludes approximately 20 months of almost straight catch-up effort from both the SAO and staff, which has culminated in 12 published reports representing the years 2021 through 2024. And really, this is a fantastic accomplishment for both the SAO and the city. And with that, I'd like to just kind of take a moment to recognize the finance department staff back here. We have Jen Hughes, our deputy finance director, Kyla Henderson, senior accountant, and Bacher, accountant, and the rest of the finance team that isn't here tonight for their facilitation of the audit. They've simply been amazing throughout this entire process, and I can't thank them enough for that effort. And just to finish really quickly, the finance department intends to continue the good work shared here today by remaining devoted and vigilant in evolving our systems, policies, and procedures. And I know with this team and with this mayor, we certainly will. So thank you and appreciate your time, council.
So to the staff, on behalf of the whole city, thank you for the work. I know an audit is on top of all the work that you have to do every day. And thank you so much for getting us successfully through the audit and all the work you do every day in support of the city. Council, any comments or questions? All right. Moving on to the next item, which is service recognition. It's with very mixed emotions tonight that I have a service recognition presentation to make. Councilmember Kara Christensen will be leaving us. She is embarking on a new sort of time of her life. Her family's moving to London, and wish her nothing but the best. But it's also our loss. She's been a fantastic council member. And I'd just like to read the plaque that we're going to award her tonight. It says, Councilmember Kara Christensen was appointed to the Snoqualmie City Council in September of 2021 and elected in 2023. She served the community through her leadership, dedication, and financial expertise until her term ended in March 2026. On behalf of the residents of Snoqualmie, with sincere gratitude, this recognition is presented to Kara Christensen on, it's dated the day of her last service, which is a week from today, dated on this 16th day of March 2026.
Thank you.
Tell you what, how about we go on that side and take a picture with Councilmember Christensen? You guys all get to come up in a second. Come on. One more. Note to self, that's a little bit hard to read, and keep your voice steady. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. Now, for those who wish to make public comment tonight, the way we do public comment in Snoqualmie is we have public comment now for items that are not on the agenda. If you're here to make public comment for items that are on the agenda, for example, several pages later, the ordinance on automated traffic safety cameras, that we will take public comment on that when we're ready to take up that matter, which will be very shortly from now. But this public comment section would be for those who wish to make comment on items not on the agenda. Now, we have an electronic sign up, so I'll just go through the list here and ask each speaker whether you wish to speak now or whether you wish to speak at the time of that ordinance being considered. So I'll start with Eddie Gomez. Now? It's Edie. Edie. All right, Edie, Ms. Gomez, you'll have 3 minutes, and the lights there will let you know when we're getting down towards the end, but 3 minutes. If you could please state your name and city of residence for the record, then go ahead.
My name is Edie Gomez, Snoqualmie, Washington, Osprey Court. Good evening, council members. My name is Edie Gomez and I live on Osprey Court. And I'm here with my wife, ECAT, who works for Starbucks and is currently seeking a higher paying opportunity. We're proud Snoqualmie residents, and I'm here to share a cautionary tale. Earlier this year, we transferred $20,000 in connection with what we believed was a legitimate opportunity. These funds were sent in good faith after discussions about our participation. I've been at my job for 10 years, and a single transaction hurt our household budget. After our transfer, the opportunity did not include us. Despite multiple requests, the funds have not been returned. We're now pursuing legal remedies, though as you know, legal processes are lengthy, expensive, and offer no guarantee of recovery. Speaking of unexpected challenges, our cat, a polydactyl gentleman with 6 toes on each paw, decided this was the perfect time to require surgery. He acts more like a dog, which means he has the loyalty of a golden retriever and the veterinary bills to match. I joked with ECAT that with 24 toes total, Maybe he could get a job and start contributing. So far, he has declined. I'm not here asking for sympathy, but we've learned critical lessons about transparency and accountability when people solicit financial contributions. Here's what I hope others take away. Always insist on clear written agreements before transferring funds. Research, ask questions, ask friends and family, trust your instincts. If something feels rushed or someone discourages independent advice, that's a red flag. Council members, these situations happen even here in Snoqualmie, even to cautious people. By speaking openly, we might prevent another family from experiencing this. I encourage the council to consider promoting financial literacy on this topic in our community, perhaps resources on the city website or workshops on protecting against financial exploitation. Small steps toward education can have significant protective effects. Thank you for your time and service to our community. I look forward to running for mayor to help protect fraud victims and victims of scams someday and continuing to serve Snoqualmie in whatever capacity I can. And if anyone knows about a job opening for a cat, please let me know.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Sue Vergao, do you wish to speak now? Or, yep.
3 minutes isn't very long. I'm Sue Vergao. I live in Snoqualmie, on Snoqualmie Ridge, and I'm here to express deep concerns about this Cascade Ridge Battery Storage Facility. And I don't know how many of you are aware of it. It's up on the ridge. There's 45 acres proposed just south of the Fisher Creek Park. I live just below that. It butts up right against the Snoqualmie trail systems that are up in there. It's in by trails, parks, wildlife habitat, wetlands, and surrounded by forests that run most of the way down to Snoqualmie, those forests with houses in between. When I look at other sites like this around the country, this is battery storage, which we're going to have in our country. They are in open, flat lands. And you look at aerial photos and there is nothing near them for a reason. These have extreme danger of fires and explosions. They've been going less frequently than they used to be, but when they happen, they have runaway fires that these lithium ion batteries, you don't just put them out. They have to burn themselves out. And if we were to have an explosion of this facility up there, there's toxic gases that would go into the community, go out. You've got hydrogen fluoride, carbon monoxide, hydrogen cyanide, which is all dangerous to all of us and the wildlife. The materials they use to diffuse and cool down these batteries as they burn down takes time because otherwise it increases the risk of an explosion, and heavy metals then get into the groundwater, which then come down into Snoqualmie. Now, while this is up on the ridge and deeply sensitive to all of us who live around it with an immediate fire, there's businesses, there's Mount Si, whatever, the elementary school up there. I don't have kids in there. I can't remember the name of it, but it's there. On the King County site, this area is designated, RA 2.5. I quote off their site, rural area designation in unincorporated King County that allows one residential unit per 2.5 to 10 acres, aimed at maintaining rural character, agriculture, and open spaces. Quote unquote. And they want to put this battery storage thing in there. I'm terrified of these fires. It requires special equipment, special training. Apparently, Seattle Fire Department has a trained crew for that, which doesn't do us a lot of good unless we get training here. What do we know about what's going to be trained for our local firefighters? Who's going to pay for that? How does that happen? And what's the risk? Very concerned. There's been several fires, California, Arizona. While they're not as frequent as they used to, as safety of them gets better, they have to close down. People have to evacuate, reside in, I can't think of the words for it, reside in space, close down all ventilation systems. There's a school. I can't say it all, but my request is that you guys as a committee would help us get all the information. 8 days from today, I just got in the mail. 8 days from now, the company doing this has offered a public meeting.
All right,
We got
if you could conclude your remarks. Thank you very much, Ms. Vergao. Vanny Albert.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk on the same topic of the Cascadia Ridge Resilience Energy Storage. So why do we oppose taking lithium batteries in the plane? We know that. And the same is why I am here to say that this is at a very close proximity to the school. Many of us go out of this place to work, and by the time we come home, we think our kids are safe. The plant that we are going to have nearby is closer to the residential property. It's closer to the electricity line, and on top of that, our kids are at risk here. So as Sue mentioned, there is a lot of chemical hazard on this. I'm a chemistry student, and I know that even when we handle it in the lab, we have to be very careful about the lithium. That said, we stay in a place where it rains, and lithium gas easily combines with hydrogen, which means that the amount of fumes that you're going to get is more hazardous. And talking about the hazard and talking about the affordability. Coming to the home insurance, anything near to this plant is really going to spike our insurance. And many do not approve when we are nearby, which is a huge cost on our cost of living. And I would kindly ask you all to also consider the noise that will be impacted from this facility, which is like 70 to 92 decibels coming 24/7 to keep it at a cooling pace. So with many other factors coming to the environment hazard, to our kids, and especially with the evacuation route, the Cascade View is really close to the place, and it is like a grid. Either you have to come on to the Fairview or you have to go through the Central if something happens. So we are going out thinking that our city is taking care of us, our kids, and I'm not in opposition that this plan should not come. I do not want it to come near to our residential places. They can move it out to somewhere far off where it is safer for them. It can add value to the business. It can add value to the people around us, but not closer to the residential place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Albert. Andrew Wissink. Speak later. Carissa Wakefield. And please state your name and city of residence as you begin your comments.
Carissa Wakeford, Snoqualmie, Washington. I am echoing the unpopular report about the Cascadia Juniper power plant that they're planning on putting here. However, I'd like to add in a couple other things. Posted is the estimated square mile if there was a fire, and it goes all the way down to Falls City, part of Preston, and much of North Bend. There's toxic fumes, the noise complaint. I actually have one that is up. Pardon me. I have a video of just the noise you can kind of hear of the 24/7 noise that is put out from it. It's not quiet and it's 24/7. And this is the noise that we have to deal with potentially if we can't fight against this. On March 17th from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Juniper Power will be coming to talk about all of how it is safe and it won't impact us. But the fire codes that I've read about it is that they're very difficult to impossible to actually put out with proper water and traditional uses. So they let it burn out. The last one that had a fire, it was 11 days that people were forced out of their homes because of the toxic fumes. The ash can spin or go for miles and impact our waterways, our dirt, our land, our kids. I live in Fisher Creek Park where they're going to put it. So not only will I have a visual reminder of it, but also the noise complaint. they're saying that it won't have any nighttime lighting, but I also saw the amount of traffic and noise that was from building it and maintaining it. It will increase things negatively upon our community. And I just ask that you please consider doing what you can to help us out as a city and as the Snoqualmie Valley to protect the water, our children, our environment. Thank you. Oh, and one more thing. It puts a strain, they say it's good for electricity, but it puts a strain on our own grid. So from everything that I've read, and I'm not a scientist, so I don't know for sure, but everything I've read said it puts a strain on our own grid. And that's already going to increase as more people are getting electric cars and whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wakeford. Jordan. Do you wish to speak now? Or? Yep. Hadley Everts. Brock Brady. And please remember to state your name and city of residence.
Thank you. I'm Brock Brady, and Snoqualmie is my city of residence. I'm also up here about the Cascadia project, but I'm coming at it from a little bit of a different angle. I'm not opposed to clean energy. I am opposed to putting a documented fire hazard immediately upstream from my house, as I think you guys would all be too. However, when, you know, and everybody's talked about how these gases, you know, the gases that get released and everything else, but I would like you guys to consider helping us ask Jupiter some questions and put some things on the county record. First, I'd like to require Jupiter Power to formally evaluate safer tech as a permit condition. Long duration energy storage, so the LDES, using iron air chemistry, produces 0 flammable gases. Cannot enter thermal runaway and poses 0 fire or chemical risk to this watershed. LED Trail, a certified US manufacturer, already embedded with the city of Tacoma, Port of Seattle. They've done some WSDOT programs or projects, proactively reached out through this very process and offered to connect with the developer, and Jupiter Power has not responded. That non-response should be on the SEPA record. On the subject of costs, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act did not eliminate the Section 48E investment tax credit for standalone storage. It's available through 2032 for any technology. So, however, it did create new prohibited foreign entity restrictions that place lithium-ion supply chains, which run overwhelmingly through China, under a serious compliance question. So this company, LED Trail, their domestic manufacturing faces none of that risk and qualifies for the full domestic content bonus credit. They really have to require that Jupiter Power submit a written tax credit eligibility analysis before any permit is issued. So, and then third, the SEPA review must explicitly model downstream contamination risk to Fisher Creek from fire suppression runoff. This is a known documented risk category, and it must not be glossed over. You know, I moved to Snoqualmie to be a part of a community and being able to be out in the green like everybody else, I think. I did not think this would ever show up. So I'm all about green energy, but let's have a different outcome than what these guys are trying to put together. And it's going to be more cost effective for them. So I don't, I'm not sure why they're not reaching out, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Also, council members, as you're aware, public comment, there was a public comment that was emailed into the city council by Emily Anderson. Her comment has been shared with the council. Are there any others who have not called who would like to speak tonight during public comment? All right. Sorry, if you could step to the microphone and state your name and city of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Emmanuel Lewis, and I'm here visiting from Dallas, Texas, in support of my friend Edie Ricon, who was scanned out of $20,000. We did some research on the lady and found out she scammed others, and came down here and spoke to Michael Chambliss, who referred me to the police chief and his staff, and we were able to file a report, and I want to thank you for that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing no other people looking to make comment during public comment. Public comment is now closed.
Mayor,
Councilmember Cotton.
I don't know if you had, yeah, and I missed it. If so, I apologize, but I hope you did pass on to the people that have submitted written comments that you have been forwarding all of those comments and letters that you folks have sent in on to King County Council member Sarah Perry, as they will be holding the public hearings. And since this is unincorporated King County land that will be used for that. And so hopefully you folks are getting responses back from the King County Council regarding the upcoming permitting for Cascadia.
So as a reminder for all those making comment or watching, during public comment, council does not respond to those comments. We listen respectfully. However, we do take down those comments. We go back and we look into those comments. As you've seen on other comments that have been made here, we often respond publicly to those comments. So our process is that we listen tonight and then we'll come back with responses later. That's why you're not hearing a response tonight from council. That's because we take that, we give it thought, and then we come back with public responses where appropriate. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda tonight contains approval of the city council meeting minutes dated February 23rd, 2026, and approval of the claims report dated March 9th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Murphy. Is there any public comment on the items in the consent agenda? Seeing none, council, is there any discussion of the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The consent agenda is approved. Under ordinances, we have Agenda Bill 26-004, Ordinance 1316, adding Chapter 10.13 Automated Traffic Safety Cameras to the Snoqualmie Municipal Code. This is the second reading of Ordinance 1316. Moment. Would the Public Safety Chair please read the introduction and motion?
Thank you. This is Agenda Bill 26-004, permitting the use of automated traffic safety cameras. Summary is this. The city of Snoqualmie has seen an increase in speeds in school zones. The city proposes adding a code section permitting the use of automated traffic safety cameras to provide additional resources for the safety of our youth and community. That I move to approve the ordinance adopting Snoqualmie Municipal Code, Chapter 10.13, authorizing the use of automated traffic cameras. Do I have a second?
Moved by Councilmember Watton and seconded by Councilmember Christensen to approve Agenda Bill 26-004. So now we'll take public comment on this item, starting with Andrew Wissink. And again, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and city of residence for the record.
Andrew Wissink. I live in Snoqualmie, Washington. First, I wanted to say thank you to Councilmember Cotton, Councilmember Holloway, and Councilmember Watton for advancing this to the full council floor. I was unfortunately able to attend the Public and Safety Committee subcommittee meeting I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was up traveling in Bellingham for some work, so wasn't able to be there to speak on behalf of what I think is a very good option that we have for curtailing. I don't think there it goes. For curtailing what I think we have as a significant problem in our city. I live on Park Street, and it is an incessant racetrack at odd hours going up and down that street. I typically leave for work at like 5 in the morning. Work as an electrician for Prime Electric down in Seattle, so I'm commuting a lot. And even at 5 in the morning, this morning, I was leaving for work at 4:45, and a car came blasting through the four-way stop between Meadowbrook and Park Street, zoomed past the Meadowbrook, well, past the elementary school and back out towards the field. And I was loading things in the side of my truck with the cart at 5 in the morning. He was cruising about 40. So I think these cameras, they would go a long way to help curb some of that behavior. And understanding that I'm only supposed to be speaking specifically to the resolution, and knowing that I missed the initial public comment, I think it ties in a little bit at least. Just synchronization would also be really helpful probably. Out along Meadowbrook Way, we have flashing lights that only flash when drop off and pickup is going. Past the high school, we have signage that dictates the speed of 20 miles an hour between, I think, 7 and 4. And then on Park Street, it flashes for the duration of the school day. So navigating between those three things, knowing that that's a large intersection, I think maybe a little bit of coordination would go a long way in helping during the education phase if this moves past. With that, I see the remainder of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wissink. Fitz Jordan. Again, if you state your name and city of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Right. Hello, I'm Fitz Jordan. I live in Snoqualmie, Washington. Yeah, I would like to basically echo what Andrew mentioned and really, yeah, give my support for the automated speed cameras. I've lived on Park Street for about 4 years now, and we have dealt with, seen, and yeah, experienced the racing that goes on in our neighborhood. It's very unfortunate. We live in such a great neighborhood in Meadowbrook with the high school there, the elementary school, the middle school, Centennial Park. We have churches nearby. It's such a great community hub, but it's been overrun and really impacted by the speeding. The safety of the neighborhood is a big concern for us, and we hope it is for you as well. I do want to thank the police chief for doing something about this and trying to collect some data with the speed study to understand the problem. I think that was a big win for us validating that there's a huge issue here, and I hope that the council sees that as well. I know that there are some concerns with the cameras and some risks that the council is worried about. And I understand that, but I don't think we should just roll over at any risk or concern that we have with the cameras. These cameras are used in many other cities across the state, and they seem to be working well in those cities. So I hope that we can find a way to implement these cameras and yeah, really bring some safety back to the Meadowbrook neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Hadley Everts. And remember, state your name and city of residence to the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hadley Everts. I also live in Snoqualmie, right around the corner from Mount Si High School. Some neighbors and I, a few that are here tonight, came to the Public Safety Commission meeting just about a year ago about speeding in schools in Snoqualmie. So I do want to start by thanking the Public Safety Commission, the police department, and the city staff that took those comments to where we are today. It's really great. So I listened to the meeting last week or 2 weeks ago where you all were discussing the cameras, and I did want to say a few things. I love that there was discussion of road design changes. It's my understanding, though, that those are expensive investments, like multi-year projects. And I'd love to see, and it sounded like there was a lot of interest in that, and I'd love to see the city make some commitments to those kinds of changes. Because I do think the cameras is just one piece of the approach, right? Issaquah also came up a lot. So I was curious about Issaquah High School and the cameras that they have. And I learned that Issaquah High School is the same size as Snoqualmie High School, so the same number of students. And Issaquah's police force has 38 officers to the 8 officers that Snoqualmie has, or we have dedicated to Snoqualmie. So for me, that really underlines how much we need these cameras as a force multiplier. Like the high school brings in, it's not just the students, it's events, it's just a huge hub, which is wonderful. But it is the idea of just approaching it with enforcement sounds like a tall order for a relatively small force, at least compared to the high school size. So I would just end by saying that I believe that the world we're in, where there's reality of limited resources and competing priorities, the cameras are a way to make a maximum impact on a really severe issue, which was underlined by the speed study. So I hope that the council will approve the ordinance and move our city towards safer streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Everts. Are there any other individuals who would like to speak to the ordinance? Remember to state your name and city of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Stephanie McNamara, and I live here in Snoqualmie, and I am a school bus driver. And speaking on the ordinance, I would love to see a lot of that take part in the cameras. As a bus driver driving around our whole entire district, I see numerous people cutting buses off, cutting people off, going in a school zone, driving around a bus in a school zone, clearly going over the 20 miles an hour. And the cameras would just be another added thing and a tool to be able to let people know that we mean business and that children are involved when they are in a school district, whether it's summertime or not. On Park Street, we know that there's certain areas that can be, a nice little racetrack. On Meadowbrook itself, we do have a school district sign that says from 7 a.m. to 4. However, that's all year long. It needs to be specific during school times that we have that sign and lighting. On 202, we have right there at Snoqualmie Middle School. That is actually run by WSP. A lot of people may not know that, but they are in charge of the light function. If we could get maybe the city to incorporate help with that to make sure that they are timed, it would make things a little more safer. Especially, I don't know, a lot of people don't like speed bumps, but that might be something to think about. I know it would be probably more costing to the city because it can be expensive, but I think if you put a high fine on some of these individuals who are going through the school districts and speeding, I can guarantee they will be one and done. If a fine is $500 and something more, I guarantee they're not going to do it and insurance will go up on them. So as a bus driver, I ask that you really definitely look into this for the future. I think it will be a great tool for all involved. And I think the safety of our kids and the neighborhoods around that have to deal with the school zones will be good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. McNamara. Any other speakers to wish, the members of the public that wish to speak on this topic? Seeing none, council, is there any discussion of this motion? Councilmember Watton.
I'll lead off. First of all, I want to thank Hadley Evans and so many of the people that have come before. And actually, this is almost a year and a half long since we've started this. But it has been a concern. And of course, our community has one of the highest populations of kids. So this is a high priority, and many of our streets that border our schools are impacted, obviously. And so this is only one method of addressing that. But we definitely appreciate the citizens that have expressed a concern, and we're following through. And Public Works has been an incredible partner to the police department, and we certainly appreciate it. One thing I do want to speak on, and that is the other aspect of personal privacy. And that is, we've been very intentional in making sure that these are not real-time tracked cameras. These are things that we will see hours later. So it's not That's the first thing. The second thing that we've consistently have addressed, and that's making sure that it stays, that information stays with the city as much as possible, and we'll continue to go down that path. But we're not there yet. This is merely a means for us to take the next step. So that's the deliberation for this body this evening is, do we add it to our code so that we can move forward? But it is not the end-all solution. So again, I appreciate the work of the police department, Public Works, the administration, the other council members that have served on public safety, including our outgoing council member, Kara Christensen, and for this work. So anyway, those are my comments for now. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Holloway.
All right. So I'm concerned that I guess two separate facts. One that basically some anecdotal data. None of these systems are self-funding. They're usually a cost. Again, anecdotal. Love to see some facts and data, but anecdotally, these are usually a cost to the city. I'm further concerned by statements which have been made that we will adjust enforcement to cover the service costs. And I blatantly refuse to delegate the level of enforcement to a for-profit entity outside the city. Having said that, I'd like to make a motion for alteration. Move to amend section 10.13.020 to add section D stating establishment and change to minimum parameters must be presented to council and approved by council. Do I have a second?
Motion by Councilmember Holloway to add a section D to the proposed ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Washington. Any discussion of the proposed amendment? All right, Councilmember Watton.
Thank you. I have some concerns. Concerns are this. We set policy. We do not direct, and we don't currently direct the police department how they enforce moving traffic violations. That is given to the police department. It's the same as if Public Works, we do not tell them what their schedule is or how they go about their work. We set policy. And the reality is there is a speed limit, and those things are reviewed by this council. We make those policies, but we don't enforce it. The enforcement comes from the police department. We have confidence in doing that. And I can recall having a conversation with the chief of the state patrol and asking her point blank, we can go 5 miles over the speed limit. She said, no, you're in violation at a mile over. So I think that it's reasonable to understand that we set policy and we give the police department those policies to enforce. And it would make very little sense for them, and they don't today, enforce things at a certain mileage over. There is only so much in resources that they have. And if they need more resources, that's the job of the council. But they have to determine at what point do we. And secondly, state of Washington, every traffic infraction has to be enforced by a member of our law enforcement. It can't be done out of state by another third-party company. They just simply help facilitate, but they do not write the violation. So I want to make sure that we're perfectly clear. And for those reasons, I'm not in favor of this amendment, even though I understand the purpose is to make sure that our police are not overreaching, but I think that we also need to be on the side of safety. And Councilmember Murphy did an excellent job of pointing that out. in our last discussion here, that speed does kill and exponentially goes up when speed increases. So with that, I respectfully say that I can't support this amendment.
Councilmember Christensen.
Thank you. May I ask that the motion be read back? I want to make sure that I understand exactly what's being proposed so that then I can hopefully respond to it.
Yes, Councilmember Holloway, we tried to capture it, but you spoke very
I
quickly.
went off script just a bit, I admit.
All right,
All right.
so I'll read it back as best we captured it, and if you could help correct my read back to the extent it's not correct. Motion to add section D to the proposed ordinance 10.13 to establish minimum
.13.020.
10.13.020. It's a lot of numbers to capture really quickly. I only got 10.13. So 10.13.020 to add section D. We may have it. Hold on.
I did a little wordsmithing from the email.
All right. Which states,
I said the establishment and changes to minimum, and then you can read the rest of the email.
add section D to establish
The establishment and change
establishment and change
of, and then the part of the email that's in quotes.
the minimum enforcement parameters. Could you read out the whole thing for me? I can't make it make sense.
Motion to amend section 10.13.020 to add section D, which states the establishment and changes to the minimum enforcement parameters must be presented to the city council for approval.
Got it. Thank you. Councilmember Christensen, does that answer your question?
Yes, that's helpful because initially I had understood Councilmember Holloway's concerns being that if we allow a third party to be determining when and at what mileage someone would get a ticket, I understand wanting to make sure that that's kept within the city and specifically within the police department, right? Because they're going to be the ones that are going to be best suited to figure out where exactly those lines need to be based on the speed study and things like that. I'm kind of in this, I'm inclined to agree with Councilmember Watson that that is not typically making these lines of demarcation for what deserves a ticket is not something that is currently reserved to city council. And I do think that that's more of the role for administration and specifically the police department to go ahead and make those decisions going forward. If there were an issue, I'm sure that we would hear about it from our residents. And I think maybe at that point in time, we could bring it back. Again, it would be a different conversation, at least from my perspective, if, again, that decision was being made by someone outside of the city, outside the police department.
If I could add just for clarity, under Washington state law, no infraction can be issued by anyone other than one of our police officers. So no outside company will issue an infraction, only our police officers. Mechanically, the outside provider will capture data and provide it to our police officers who then must review each instance that they wish to issue that they decide to issue an infraction on. And then they either issue an infraction or don't. Those decisions are made solely by our police officers as required by state law. So even if you wanted to allow some third party, actually state law would prohibit you from allowing that. And that is just as it's done today when police officers pull over people for potential infractions. They make judgment calls every day, and you allow them to make those decisions. So just for clarity, it is just the police. It is only our police officers that can issue an infraction. Councilmember Holloway.
So I'll make a couple of responses. Yes, and to that last comment of community police enforcement, in my opinion, is an aspect that we're somewhat losing in this. Okay, but understand the efficiency of An officer can't stand there with his eyes open 24/7. He'll go blind. And a camera can. Understand that, okay? I do counter that we do set the laws. We do set what gets enforced and what doesn't get enforced. I'm only putting in place something because I have a camera in the middle of this versus an officer who's making a judgment based on a video and 3 pictures. And a service that, in my opinion, will end up costing us more than it generates, which I'm okay with, but I want us to be aware of that. And nor do I want the enforcement lowered to such a sense that, 1 mile over gets you a ticket because I can't pay for the service. I do not want the service adjusted based on its cost. I want the service adjusted based on the effect of the enforcement. Those need to be separated. And I have statements from the chief in which he has said, quote, unquote, I will adjust the level of enforcement to pay for the service. You can hear it in my voice. I totally disagree with having an outside firm from a for-profit organization determining what the enforcement levels are inside the city of Snoqualmie. And that's what that statement does.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I think the Councilmember Holloway brings up a really good point about the idea of should we be enforcing things more in order to pay for an outside cost to a for-profit company. I don't know that this is the right mechanism in the proposed amendment, but I definitely hear the concern, and I would like to find a way to get that concern addressed in a meaningful way. Again, I'm not sure if this is the right mechanism or not. So I think I'll leave it there for a moment.
Councilmember Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a follow-up question, and I don't know if maybe the chief can answer this question, but I think there's a question, if I'm understanding, enforcement mechanisms. So specifically when we're looking at school zones, I had a chance to go to Washington, just revised some of their best practices on this. My understanding is if we're going to enforce school speed zone safety, it can only be at 20 miles an hour. It's very specific in what it can do. 300 feet from a school district, from a school or a playground border. So we can only enforce with the camera during those operating hours. And it's very specific that it must be a beacon. Is that your reading of the statute, Chief? So my question is for the chief, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I'm not sure the chief should give that answer, perhaps city attorney. You're asking for
Okay.
interpretation of law.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I believe what you're saying is accurate, from my
Okay.
understanding. I don't know
So,
if you-
oh, sorry,
No, Councilmember Washington, go ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish, please, city attorney. I'm so sorry.
Could you repeat it again? Because I thought it was going to the chief, so I.
Okay. So there seems to be this question that just, for me of, okay. So think of it as I think of it as 2 separate programs. First program would be literally enforcing the speed zone for the school district. So take, for example, Timber Ridge. And, you have to, sorry, I don't have children, but I think the hours of operation for the school zone, I believe it's 9:45 to 11:45. Or is it 8:45 to 10:45?
I'm not allowed to
Okay.
respond back to you.
So 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. From what I understand under state law, we would only be able to enforce the speed for that speed zone, the school speeding zone, during those times. Similar to Mount Si, I think it's 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Councilmember Washington, if I could just clarify your question with that.
Please.
As I understand it, you're asking not about the wording in this particular proposed ordinance. you're asking with respect to state law, which would potentially further restrict how this ordinance could be implemented. You're asking if state law restricts the timing of when this would be permissible.
The
right?
enforcement of it.
Yeah.
Correct.
So my understanding was that we had the ability to increase the parameters. Is that your understanding? Yeah.
So and maybe this is just where we need to be a little bit more clear and get as much data as possible. That's not my understanding of it. Under state statute is that it can only be, if it's specifically for a school speed zone, it can only be enforced during those specific times when the beacon is active.
So I think, okay, so there would be two different types of infractions that would be issued. If it's during the school zone, during school hours, the person speeding would receive a certain one type of infraction. It's the speeding in a school zone. If the program is expanded outside of school zone times, then it would just be your normal speeding infraction.
Okay. I would ask for clarity on that and just where we can point to that in the law, because that's not my understanding of it.
Okay. Interim Chief Haracy, to answer your question, the cameras can be operated 24/7. And there's two designations. There's the in-time school zone times, which we designate for the 8:45 to 9:45, 3 to 4, and then the 7 to 4. I have all those memorized. So there's those those violations. And then if, for instance, if we're looking at Snoqualmie Parkway alone, the time between 9:45 and 3 p.m. will be operated at a different parameter, or can be operated at a different parameter. So for instance, industry standard for a school zone infraction on an automated system is typically the infraction begins at 6 or 7 miles over the speed limit. Then if you're outside the school zone times, it moves up to 10 miles an hour. So you're operating in both sections. And then for instance, on Meadowbrook, if you did it, you could do it after school hours where we have school events, kids going there. So they're operating after that. And again, it moves from the school zone speed of 20 miles an hour to a 10 mile over the speed limit outside of the school zone time. So it does both. You can do both. We can regulate it more. We can regulate it, but we can't go less than what the RCW states.
Just a quick follow-up.
Councilmember Washington. Yeah.
Thank you. Understood, Chief. Just for transparency's sakes, because I'm not seeing that, and looks like they revised this at the beginning of 2025. I would need to see in the law where you can point to that, because I'm just not seeing it under current law.
Give me just a minute. I'll pull some stuff.
Let's be careful about shooting from the hip on answering that.
Yeah.
That he wants a very specific and clear answer that I'd want.
I might have.
Okay. Councilmember Holloway.
Well, and I just wanted, because the question, maybe we're getting to it. The question was not the capability of the system. The question was legal applicability, excuse me, of the system to do both school infraction and speeding infraction based on time of day or whatever. Where the material he's looking at seems to imply it's one or the other, but not both.
Understand
might
that that's part of the question. Yes.
No, I just.
Councilmember Watton.
Just for clarity, and I did go into the RCWs, it's 46.61.440 and 46.61.400. Those both address school zones and the times that those are enforced and how they're enforced. And it would seem to me under those two things that we are consistent with the state law. With one thing is we have to make sure that our beacons are working during those hours. And secondly, the times have to be clearly posted, and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Appears to be within the parameter of this body to determine. So, but those are valid concerns, and thank you for bringing those up. And I want to get back to Councilmember Holloway's motion.
Councilmember Murphy.
So if you could help me understand, when we're talking about enforcement parameters, are we talking about speed or time of day or both? I guess that'd be a question for the maker of the motion.
Well,
Councilmember Holloway.
give you my partial answer. Because part of the answer depends on which system you may be using. But it would be whatever parameters we communicate to the vendor that says forward on infractions at this speed level for the officers to review. And what that speed level is what this would be aimed at. And so it would, I still have the outstanding question here, but at least between 8 and 10, I'm just gonna round up. Between 8 and 10, we said 6 miles over, go to the office for review, whatever. At least that statement would come to council to approve and look at. If at a later date, we want to bring that down or bring that up, that also would come to council to review.
If I could help, what I put on the screen here is the code section that you're considering. And as you see in section A, you're only considering authorizing school speed zone violations. So not the other chapter of.
Not off hours.
Not off hours. You're only authorizing right now school speed zone violations. So that, and then I'd also tell you, just the chief's comments may not have fully anticipated how you might hear them, but we anticipate far more infractions in the zone of where we would be willing to issue infractions, meaning not 1 mile over the speed limit. Far more initially than we actually have the capacity to issue those infractions. So what we want to do is hold down the number of infractions to a level that we can actually handle with the officers that we have. Now, if we don't, we also believe that based on how these systems go when they're implemented everywhere else, that as soon as these cameras are being enforced, the amount of speeding drops dramatically. We still expect that that level will be at a level higher than our existing force can issue. So can issue infractions. Remember, each one has to be reviewed and an officer has to make a determination and issue the infraction. A certain percentage of those then go and get heard at traffic court, and our officers have to turn up for those. So there's a whole administrative burden. What the chief was trying to communicate is that we're going to hold down the number of infractions we issue so that we don't overload our existing force. We believe that that number will generate revenue far exceeding the cost. So what we're saying is we're going to initially calibrate this to make sure we at least cover the cost, number one, meaning not going down to lower speed limits, but as we say, well, how many do we at least want to issue? So they'll start at the much higher speeds in excess of the limit. And then we'll enforce further to a level that our officers can handle the load on. And then as we see how that goes in the first couple of months, we'll report back to you, see how that's going. And then we can talk to you about, well, do you want further enforcement beyond that? Because in that case, we might need more officers, and we'll have that discussion then. But in no way do we expect that this will be something that results in the speed that we enforce being lower than we would otherwise enforce. So for example, that we would enforce with actual patrol officers. So that was sort of the intent of those statements. Hopefully that helps, but that's sort of the context in which those comments were being made. Councilmember Christensen.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just going back to the traffic study that was given to us, and this is specifically looking at over at Mount Si at Meadowbrook. So again, during school enforcement hours over that 3-day period, there were over 1,000, well, it was 1,615 violations. 1,200 of those were, that 27 and up, 277 were, 32 to 36, and 49 were over 37 miles an hour. So I don't think that, again, that we'll be, you know, having to lower it significantly. I think that, again, our officers will be able to move forward with the most significant violations. And would love to see this come back to the, you know, the future council to make those, you know, fine tuning things and have those conversations. But I think that the path that the administration is setting forward with this, with the police heading it up, they will be more than willing to and able to cover this.
Councilmember Holloway.
And you did exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Your first consideration you stated was the cost of the service. That should not be a determining factor in the level of enforcement needed to do what we're talking here. That's what I'm trying to separate.
Councilmember Johnson.
I must have asked this before and now I'm probably just forgetting, but is there an error statement on the speeds that are captured? And the reason I'm asking is that whenever I go past one of those little beacony things that we have out there, like the one on the Parkway, which one of the digits is out, by the way, it's never right. That thing has never matched my speedometer, and that's having owned several vehicles. And I mean, it could be off by, 3 to 5 miles per hour. So I'm curious, I must have asked that before because I feel like as a science teacher, I must just be forgetting that I asked that.
So to answer your question, yes, the radar unit in each camera system is calibrated annually, just like our patrol cars are. And then
What error statement? Like plus or minus how much?
I would have to get that information for you because there's a technical side to that I don't get into. But for instance, on our patrol cars, we hire a company annually. They just came out, they calibrate the radars. These are done the same way. So to ensure that the accuracy is within whatever that percentage is, but I can get that for you.
But may
Oh,
follow up?
hold on.
Quick follow-up?
Follow-up, Councilmember Johnson.
Okay, and the reason I ask is because I think this is relevant to the motion before us, in that if there was some adjusting to make up for costs or whatever, I would definitely want to make sure that even if we did somehow go down that road, that we would stay outside of whatever the error margin is on those. And I'm not sure if that's captured in here, so that could be a motion that will have to come later.
All right. By the way, on the electronic speed sign on the Parkway, that is serviced for us by King County.
It's serviced by King County, and that one is not calibrated annually.
Fair enough.
And that one, they were out last week. As soon as the second digit failed, they need a part. They expect to have it in later this week, so hopefully we'll see that repaired. But that we're actually all over that almost immediately. It was just a missing part they needed. Councilmember Christensen.
Just responding to Councilmember Johnson, I agree that, you know, as things are set, I'm sure that it'll be recalibrated and that, you know, they'll take a look at the margin of error. The beacon that is on the Parkway is different than what was used for this study, which was, it's my understanding, the ropes. And so it was not related to that, at least, and all of its issues.
Councilmember Murphy.
So going back to the motion here, and like if I'm not getting this, just like let me know. But I think like prescribing the minimum enforcement parameters, I think like we're really taking some discretion away. And we're talking about community policing and you know, wishing officers maybe were patrolling and pulling folks over more using discretion, but we're now taking away discretion for the cameras. And if I'm not getting it right, let me know, but that doesn't square with me. And I think like making sure that we have at least getting this going, operational flexibility, right? There's going to be some manner of fine tuning, but when we're setting the code and the enforcement standards, this isn't like, oh, we're going to go back and cut and paste this like a month from now, right? So that's my concern related to the motion. If there's a misunderstanding on my part, please let me know. But wanting to maintain some semblance of operational flexibility is where I keep getting hung up on this one.
Councilmember Cotton.
Yes, I'd like to dovetail in on what Councilmember Murphy is saying, is that the last thing I want is to take away the officers' abilities out on the street to either choose to educate, to, issue a citation, or, whatever they, in their experience and learnings, are capable of, rendering a decision in a particular instance. That's what we pay them for, and that's what they should be doing, and not what we're necessarily dictating from the podium, so to speak. So I want to make sure that that remains intact for the officers to be able to have that discretion.
Councilmember Watton.
Thank you. And I want to also follow along because an officer has actually three options and would under this system. One is issue a citation, two, issue a warning, or give them the verbal education, for the lack of a better word. Those are still things that are viable through this system. That does not change. And I think that comes back to community policing, doing what's right and knowing that sometimes it will only simply be a warning. And I want to leave that up to the police department.
Councilmember Holloway.
Point of clarification, we're having the officers call? Guys, let's be clear what we're talking here. Okay, and actually there's another option. For repeat offenders, they get a little bigger hit in the wallet. So there's an option of repeat offender, you get this price tag versus this price tag. But we're manning this so that we have enough time for the officers to go through and to do that decision of warning. Probably going to say citation. It's probably an appropriate word. Is it okay? Citation or citation for multiple offense. But I haven't heard a conversation that there will be community engagement as a result of that beyond this. That's when they're out doing their community, they're out in the streets, in the cars, doing their community engagement at that stage. Chief can correct me if that's part of the program, but I had not heard that today.
Councilmember Washington, but before you make your comment, if I could, I believe we have an answer for you from City Attorney.
Okay.
So RCW 46.63.250 talks about the different situations where the cameras can be used. And there's there's multiple subsections, but two of those, one is school speed zones, the other school walk zones. And then there's other situations where they can be used. But this specific ordinance is only talking about the school zones.
Okay, so just a quick follow-up.
Yes, Councilmember Washington.
Thank you, Mayor. So, sorry about the raspy voice this evening. This specifically would only be for school zones during those posted times, correct?
It would be,
So those posted times of enforcement.
yeah, that's my understanding, because that's when it's the school, yes.
Okay.
And so that's, just to be clear, that's by function of state law, which governs how this ordinance would be implemented. Okay. Does that answer your question, Councilmember Washington?
Yes, it does, but I just have a quick comment.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. So I absolutely hear what Councilmember Holloway is saying. This is going to change the way we police our community. I don't know the cost of this program. And I think there's a real concern there because it is a new program and we don't know the cost of it. The question would be, what harm would there be in keeping that piece of discretion, the minimum standard, with the council? I think there is discretion still in the program for our officers that they can decide to issue warnings, to issue tickets. So I still think there's a large piece of discretion still available for our officers, even in keeping this piece with the council.
If I could, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Councilmember Johnson.
So, as I said earlier, I think that I understand what the underlying concern is behind the motion. And I concur with that concern, the idea that, and correct me if I'm misstating the intent here, but the concern being that enforcement could change such that we are paying some private entity enough to keep the system going. The exact mechanism of deciding how and when our police can and should do what, I hear the other argument on the other side of, is that really the place of counsel or not? I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure yet. I haven't come to an answer in my own head on that. But certainly, I do share the concern of that underlying problem. So I think that what I'd like to do is make a motion to send this back to committee to consider the issue, the two issues. The first being council involvement in making that determination, but especially and perhaps more importantly, how to address the issue of how to fund it if it were to start to cost a significant amount, such that we're not policing or we're not changing how we are enforcing the law to benefit a private company.
Okay, hold please.
Yes.
That was a very long motion.
Okay.
Can you write those
Yes.
words down for us?
Write those words down. I feel like punish you. I have stated my intent. I think that rather I'll just motion to send back to committee.
Okay, could you just hold on? I just need to make sure I know the procedure because we've got a motion and then a motion to amend and now another motion. Just give me a moment with the city attorney to make sure that I understand the procedure. I'm advised that that motion is out of order at this time because the motion to amend is the motion to amend the motion is on the floor. So we could either resolve that current pending motion and then take up, you would then have an opportunity to make this motion. Or if you're so interested, I'm advised you could withdraw the current motion and then we could immediately take up this motion.
If second is willing, I reserve the right to re-motion, but I withdraw a motion.
Draw my second.
All right. So now, Councilmember Johnson.
All right. Move to send this back to committee.
Second.
All right. Motion to return this item to committee and seconded by made by Councilmember Johnson, seconded by Councilmember Washington. Hold on just a minute. Councilmember Washington.
I'd like to amend the motion. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion, amending the motion to return back to committee until such time as we have analysis for alternatives on enforcement options and service options.
Is there a second to motion by Councilmember Washington? Hearing no second, the motion dies for lack of a second.
Oh, he can't second though. He hasn't.
All right, so we're back to the motion to return to committee. Any further discussion? Councilmember Christensen.
Yeah, thank you. So I just have a couple of quick questions and they may be directed to the administration. So it's my understanding that in order to proceed further down the road of whether or not we're going to ultimately do speed cameras in the school zones, we need to first authorize it under the existing Snoqualmie Municipal Code before we're able to go out and get vendors to come and give us quotations for how much it would cost to put in the poles and the lights. So while I do agree that it sounds like there's going to need to be more conversation surrounding the price and things like that, in order to be actually able to go out and get that information, we have to authorize it generally in the municipal code at this time. So it's my further understanding then that if we just refer it back, we'll essentially be killing the opportunity to do it at this time. So I just want to make sure that's accurate.
Councilmember Christensen,
I know, it was a whole lot of
the, this, were you to approve this ordinance tonight, nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Because we don't have your authorization to engage a vendor. The next step would be to go get proposals from multiple vendors, bring them back to you, at which time you would then either authorize or not authorize an actual program to commence under this authorizing ordinance. But nothing will happen without a further action by this council to approve a vendor. And I would point out, any ordinance you pass, you also can amend. Councilmember Holloway.
But the statement of requirements and submitting for proposals is not held by not passing this tonight, correct?
If I could answer, we wouldn't know what to ask in the RFP. We wouldn't know what the standards are that we're asking them to propose on. So for example, will you ultimately pass this recommend just specific locations? Will you ultimately pass speed cameras at all times? Will it just be school zone cameras? We don't really know what you will ultimately authorize them. Therefore, we don't know what to ask the proposers to specifically propose on.
But I don't believe those are specified by the actions tonight. But can we, as part of the public safety, take up those parameter discussions so that requests for proposals can proceed?
Councilmember Watton.
Let me speak on this particular issue, and that is the reason why we're bringing forward the amendment to the municipal code is we did take in public comment about the concern over speeding. We knew that we didn't have enough enforcement through our officers, and we looked for a solution. This was an easy one to review, first of all, because it's available in 20 other cities in the state, including Issaquah, so it's compatible. But we also heard in our committee concern about making sure that we address the municipal code first before we go out and solicit for other studies or other RFPs for a system and which system to use. Tonight, it's purely, this gives us the ability to move forward, and that was the recommendation that came through the committee loud and clear, that we needed to address this piece first and then decide on the vendor. And so I would put that framework in, and the more back and forth we go, we're not making any progress, and we don't have more officers. So we've got to figure that part out. And I understand that, you know, the concern of the cost, the concern of ongoing costs, but we also have other variables going in, and that's the cost of additional patrol officers, which we have a pretty good idea that we can't add more patrol officers just to handle this one function. And this is a better solution going forward, we believe, but we also want to be realistic in knowing that when it's implemented, the number of infractions are going to be higher and people's habits will change. But we have to get through this part first. And I encourage, you to go ahead and change the municipal code, and then we can go back to committee and fine tune things. But without this step, we're going to be caught in this back and forth motion. This is the second reading we've had in here, but we've been talking about it in public safety for some time. So anyway, that's kind of my perspective.
All right, so I've got, in the following order, we'll take Councilmember Johnson, then Holloway, then Murphy. So Councilmember Johnson.
So I appreciate that it could be easier to address this issue if we had numbers, but I don't think that we need the actual numbers because to me, it sounded like the underlying issue and the one that I'm taking issue with myself is the concept of if the price goes up regardless of what the number is, then should the enforcement mechanism be to then make sure that we are making up for those additional costs? And I don't think that we should be adjusting our costs, or excuse me, adjusting our enforcement based on the cost. We should be enforcing or adjusting our enforcement based on the need for safety and things like that. Um, so my intent of this motion was to go back and address that issue at the committee level and then come back. And, sometimes government does move slowly. And the reason it does is that if we do move too fast on things, then there are significant consequences. Sometimes frustratingly so. There have been plenty of things in my 4 years so far where I wish I could have moved faster, but I understand that sometimes you have to go back and you got to review something for whatever reason.
Councilmember Holloway.
Really don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but I'll say, I noticed that about 2/3 of the enforcement window for this went out the window tonight. It was assumed coming in here. So things are shifting. Let's get this right. And I refuse to hold an RFP hostage for this. That's just not, we're not doing our job if we're doing that, okay? So I would like to amend the motion to direct public safety to discuss with administration parameters, I'll say specifics around data required for an RFP.
So the current motion on the floor is to return this matter to committee.
And I would like that committee to discuss information required to support an RFP.
Second.
Okay, move.
So I thought we had first we had a motion to send back to committee.
Yep.
Then we had a motion to amend to return to committee to discuss analysis on alternatives and service options.
Did you get a second?
No, that failed.
That
Okay,
failed.
okay,
Is that a
just
second?
tracking,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
okay.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you for.
Thanks.
How many dinosaurs are going?
Exactly.
All right, so just to be clear, we have a motion by Councilmember Holloway, seconded by Councilmember Johnson. Thank you. All right. Discussion on the motion.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I did not catch Councilmember Holloway's motion.
Sorry, could you state it again, Councilmember Holloway?
Try it. So mean. Motion to direct committee with administration to discuss information required to proceed with RFP.
Point of order, is that germane to the motion that's on the floor, council, legal?
Hold, please.
Yes.
So the item is not germane because this is discussion of an RFP. That's not the matter that's in front of you. The matter in front of you tonight is the adoption of an ordinance. The motion is to return that ordinance to committee. There's no RFP mentioned in this ordinance, so it's not germane to the topic.
Chair,
Councilmember-
I disagree.
Councilmember Holloway.
I disagree and appeal to the council.
Okay, so
I am clarifying the motion to return to committee to include that.
Councilmember Holloway is appealing the decision of the chair to the full council on whether the matter is, his motion is germane or not. Any discussion on that topic? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of
The
How
motion.
do I state that?
Retaining the motion for consideration.
So all those in favor of deciding that the motion is not germane, say aye.
For deciding that the motion is not germane.
Yeah, the decision of the chair was that the motion was not germane to the matter. That question has been appealed to the council, so now the council must decide, is it or is it not germane? So the vote, an aye vote would be that you, okay, I'm not saying it backwards. So let's say it clearly. An aye vote would mean that you think the matter is germane. A nay vote would be that you do not, that you support the position of the chair and it is not germane. So with that in mind, all those in favor that the matter is germane, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Sounds like a roll call.
The motion does not carry. The ruling of the chair is upheld.
Request for a roll call vote.
Okay, we'll take a roll call vote on the matter.
Point of order.
Yes, what, state your point?
Is it a 2/3 requirement to sustain the motion, or is it 50% plus one?
Good question. We'll just check that. So hold.
We haven't gone these waters or so. Yeah, and to be clear, I'm only aware of one other time that a motion was, a germane motion was appealed. Wasn't me. So in 20 years, this is very seldom done.
Next one. Go now.
Maybe 2/3. This time we'll declare a 5-minute recess. So the council will be back in 5 minutes at 9:55, 9:56.
8:50.
Let's try that again. 8:56.
But our
Okay, the
book said.
The book said.
It's going to the book.
The motion to appeal is a majority motion only, not a 2/3. So we'll proceed with the roll call vote. Councilmember Murphy.
Nay.
Councilmember Watton.
Nay.
Councilmember Holloway.
Aye.
Councilmember Washington.
Aye.
Councilmember Cotton.
Nay.
Councilmember Christensen.
Nay.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
The tally is 4 nay and 3 aye. The motion does, let's see, the appeal does not pass. And
Motion
the
is not
ruling of
germane.
the motion is determined not germane. So let's see where we stand. We have a
Where are we?
motion. We have a, hold on. Who we stand? Who we stand?
I think we're back to motion to table back to committee.
Exactly.
So the motion on the floor is to send the ordinance back to committee. Any further discussion on that, Councilmember Christensen?
Thank you. So I'm obviously no longer on Public Safety Committee now, but I was on Public Safety Committee for the year that we went through where we discussed this ad nauseum, where we had significant public feedback. Guys, we are having 7,000 violations at Timber Ridge over a 3-day period while the beacons are going. It feels like sending it back to committee is going to slow it down. Okay, well, there is a demonstrated ongoing public safety risk for the kids. Like, I think that generally speaking, folks are in line with going forward with trying to get quotes and other things, and generally speaking, in line with getting this moving forward. I really worry that if we're sending it back to committee, we're gonna have to go back through, we're gonna have to renotice everything else. It'll be at least a month or two before we're even back in a situation where we can have this go forward. This is not the last touch point on this. Okay, there will be other opportunities. You'll get to review the vendors before they come. You'll get to talk about the specific locations. But again, this is a step in the process towards making sure that the kids are safe. I don't think that we can wait any longer. Again, having not only our citizens come and tell us, but then we've gotten the proof that they're right. Like, let's move this forward.
Councilmember Murphy.
Echo that completely. I think we need to move forward and deliver some results here. And I think that the framework that in the ordinance is very strong. I think it comports with what other municipalities have done on this matter. I think we have reams of data, both within our city and within other municipalities, that show the effectiveness of these of speed cameras, of the need that we have for the speed cameras. I fear, similarly to Councilmember Christensen, that we're just going to be delaying this indefinitely. So I don't support the motion to bring back to committee, and I would hope that we can get some results done tonight.
All right, any further discussion on the motion to return this topic to committee? Councilmember Cotton.
Just to echo for the second or third or fourth time that I agree with council members Murphy, Watton, Christensen. I'm not on the road anymore, but let me tell you, the tragedy that hits any community is when a child is killed in a pedestrian accident, and I've been on too many of those in various jurisdictions through the course of my career. I don't want our folks, our fire department, our police officers to be the ones responding into a school zone while we're deliberating this back and forth. So that's where I stand.
All right, any further discussion on the motion to return this topic to committee? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to return to committee say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
I count 4 nay, 3 aye. The motion to return to committee is not upheld. We return to the motion to adopt the ordinance. And any further discussion on that? Councilmember Holloway.
Would like to reintroduce my motion on whatever the heck it was, minimum enforcement parameters.
All right, I think we might have that wording. Let's take a shot here.
I think we do. Let's not go over. Let's
Have that wording?
Yes, I have it as move to amend section 10.13.020 to add section D, which states the establishment and changes of minimum enforcement parameters must be presented to the city council for approval.
Councilmember Holloway, is that correct?
Correct.
Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Washington. Any discussion of the motion to amend the ordinance? All right, see none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor of amending the ordinance say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion to amend is not passed. And we return to the motion as originally made for the ordinance. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Johnson.
So I do think that there are some things that can make this better that we've discussed tonight and that will be able to continue being discussed as this process moves forward. But I still think that this option of using the cameras is at least functional for the time being. While I would hope that we'll make investments in the future to the physical infrastructure to make our roads look like the speed limits that they are supposed to be. I've again pointed to Issaquah. We love pointing to Issaquah, don't we? Issaquah has a traffic calming zone. I mentioned in our previous council meeting how the school that I work at has a traffic calming zone. So I realized that may be more expensive. It may be a longer term thing. But at least this allows us to do something. I do have also some significant concerns about the issue of privacy for people. It's not so much that the technicality of this exact proposal, it nudges up against a line in terms of whether the officers are actually seeing it and monitoring people and stuff. But it's not that I think that any of our council members here are like, yeah, let's go 1984 or anything like that. I mean, it's just that this is something that can over time become referenced by future councils to introduce things like cameras for red lights and other kinds of enforcement. That said, the committee and staff bent over backwards to avoid those kinds of issues. And I am just very thankful to the council's commitment to a lot of those principles about privacy and community policing. So seeing as how on that particular issue, I'm not aware of a way to make it better. I don't have a proposed amendment to make it to better improve citizen privacy. So as a result, even though I do have some issues with certain things about the program, and I think that some of those may be addressed in the future as we go for an RFP, et cetera, I am in favor of the underlying motion as it stands.
Right, and just as a point of information, the systems that we're looking at, and you'll hear more about this, assuming you pass this and we go through the proposal process, do not capture images of the driver.
Right.
They capture images of the license plate of the car. Councilmember Murphy.
Yeah, I'll just say I'm really proud to support this. I think the staff deserve a ton of credit for getting it to the place that it's in. We've had, as mentioned, a lot of public engagement. Obviously, many of that predated my time on council. And I really want to thank the chief for bringing this to us and going in and kind of making this a key priority for the department and for public safety for the community. So I strongly, I think this is something that is a great first step for us. Excited to see kind of how we move forward as it relates to different vendors that we'll be evaluating and things of that nature. But, we're solving an issue. We're solving for an issue that has, that's backed in data, on a solution that's backed in data, and something where we've had significant public engagement on, right? We don't often get that. We don't often get folks kind of coming in and being persistent and showing up and asking for something. So I'm proud that we're able to deliver some results for them, and very supportive of the underlying motion.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Holloway.
With the, I assume, passing of this coming here shortly, I hope that in the next public safety meeting, we can have a discussion on the RFP and steps moving forward. Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the ordinance say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ordinance passes unanimously. Moving on to committee reports. Public Safety Committee, there was an informational item in your agenda packets.
Yes.
Regarding, and Councilmember Watton.
Thank you, Mayor. In light of the hour, I'm just going to point out a couple things. Every quarter, the fire department has a report to let us know where they're at, but it's also part of the accreditation, the ongoing monitoring of how our tax dollars are being deployed. The good news is the number of responses have gone down slightly, which is a good trend to have. Secondly, mutual aid continues to be something that we monitor on a quarterly basis. Mutual aid to our citizens means that we may go out to other districts and we're going to respond to those incidents that are closest to us even though they're being covered by, for instance, East Side Fire. But the offset to it, and you'll see that in the report, is that when we have an incident, they're sending multiple, sometimes multiple units out to respond with us. So we're always concerned about the costs and the benefit back. And then the other one, and that's transport services, because that's revenue that we get by transporting patients. And sometimes you see our aid car go over to Issaquah or down to Bellevue for hospital transfers from our hospital in particular. So those are things that we're always monitoring. We want to be transparent, and that's why this report is put forward. The chief and his team do an excellent job, and I got a chance to spend 10 hours with them a Sunday before last. And the only reason why I'm doing this report, I think, is because I used a fire hose to wash out the fire truck bay. And I think I am maybe the first one, other than Councilmember Cotton, to do a forced entry practice as well. And it was great spending time with them. And the good news is we didn't have a single call during the 10 hours, but they were absolutely busy doing things to make sure that our community is safe. And for that, I'm proud and grateful for the work of our fire department.
So I'm a bit confused, Councilmember Watton, because when I had my first mayor meeting with the firefighters, 5 minutes into the meeting, the alarm went and they all left. So I don't know, should I draw any conclusions from your experience as compared to mine?
Just invite me next time.
Okay, moving on, any further Public Safety Committee report?
That's all that we have this evening. Thank you very much.
Community Development Committee, any report?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Parks and Public Works Committee, any report?
No report at this time.
Finance and Administration Committee, Agenda Bill Introduction Discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this was an item that was brought to F&A to discuss who or whom, I'm probably using those incorrectly, but should read in the introduction of our agenda bills, whether it should be the mayor or the chair of the committee. And there were arguments in both directions for that. Obviously, historically, it's been the chair. Mayor, did you want to say anything about this?
This is just a point of, look, we want to serve you however's best. There is this idea that the administration writes the introduction, but then you end up reading it. So we offered, hey, if you'd rather have us read it, that's fine. But the other point is, to be clear, in committees, you can change the introduction to that which you would like to read. So either way you want to go, we just want to say we're here to support whichever way you want to go. And just let us know. We're just trying to address something that looked a little sort of odd, forcing you to read something you actually may not have realized you could change. Councilmember Johnson.
So this isn't a motion to change the way that we've been doing things that's on the table presently, just a discussion, as it says. I think that if we could just take as a piece or as a point of information, if that's even really a point, I don't think it's even a point, but anyway, as information and a reminder that chairs can assist in the crafting of those introductory statements and take some ownership that they may do so, that it doesn't have to just be the administration writes them and then, it just is what it is.
Councilmember Washington.
Yeah, just a quick question, Mr. Mayor. How would that be done? Is that a matter of working with a city attorney or working with staff, or what would be the best process for that?
Each chair can just work with the director that in their committee that brought that item. If you just let them know what you want, they can change that to whatever wording you'd like. And if you need that to sort of facilitate these, like, hey, could you give me the wording so I could electronically, so I could just change that? We can just facilitate that for you. So just speak with the director that's bringing the matter to you in your committee. Councilmember Johnson.
I'll yield.
Councilmember Christensen.
Thanks. So just so that I understand then, because I know that in the past on council, there's been significant pushback if anybody's tweaking anything after it's left committee and before it gets brought to council. So I guess at what point would the chair then be weighing in and changing the language of what would ultimately be in the agenda packet? Because I just want to make sure that however the language is presented, it's what kind of that committee has decided, so that there's, you know, cohesion
Yes.
there as well.
At the time of your committee meeting.
Okay.
Or prior, because we do try and show you the things prior to your committee meeting, but either prior to or at the committee meeting, we're happy to facilitate you changing the introduction. And remember, the introduction is just what you read, that the body of the background section still has all the information that administration has written, kind of explaining and supporting the proposal. But this is really to let you, since you're the ones that are going to speak that section, to allow you to write what it is that you're speaking and to have your committee's input and support in that. Councilmember Johnson.
Then I think hopefully just one final thought from my end is that I hope the administration still intends to continue writing the what could be interpreted as a rough draft, but would also be serviceable as a final draft if no further input were given. And then I just perhaps have a request that in the past, sometimes the introduction has been multiple paragraphs, and then we're supposed to just read the first paragraph. There could just be a very clear introduction is one paragraph, and then below that is a heading. That's the next thing.
You may have noticed that since January 1st of this year, you have not received multiple paragraph introductions.
Appreciate that.
So that we are already attempting to absolutely address that. But, and that, to be honest, that's what gave rise to this is, wait a minute, we're changing the language. Okay, we've got this objective, but by the way, isn't it really for the council member that's going to read it to ultimately decide if that wording's right? And as you point out, the committee along with that chair. So we just want to facilitate that. Or if you didn't want to do that, say, well, if you want us to read it, since we wrote it, we're happy to do that. But more importantly, if you would like to write it, happy to facilitate that as well. Okay. Any further discussion?
Nothing else from FNA.
All right. Committee of the Whole, we have a topic. See if I got this right. Discussion of Resolution 15-42, paragraphs 5, 6, and 7. Did I get that right, Councilmember Cotton?
5, 6, and 7, yeah, and they actually dovetailed right into what FNA just brought up. If I'm not in several areas, this is the rules of procedure for the city council under some of the responsibilities of the committee chairperson. That's 6.4.2, and also under department heads, that's Rule 7. There's it specifically mentions that the responsibility of a committee chairperson is to solicit the views of the department heads of each department affected by each matter referred to the committee, and also under the department heads, 7.1, input to committees, it shall be the right and responsibility of each department head to make his or her position known to the council committee on each matter for council action affecting the department referred to the committee. So I'm very happy to hear the input that FNA is lining out, that we can actually have communication with our department heads and discuss pending business. In Rule 5, one of the things that's brought to bear is that the matters that come on, specifically agenda bills coming onto the agenda, it's the responsible council committee or department head is to provide the agenda bill completed. It does mention signatures of both the chair and the department head. So they obviously need to confer and discuss the items that are going to be coming forward. And so we just want to make sure that these items are being addressed in the process, And that however we decide to do that, if there's going to be a standardized approach, if there's going to be, it's up to the individual chairs. They want to do communications by phone, by email, via meeting. Those are all things that would certainly be of benefit to keep the lines of communication open between the committees, the committee chairs, and their department head and department staff. Specifically in Rule 5, there's two reports that I've never seen, and I just wondered if these are still being utilized. It refers to the city clerk, and the city administrator shall prepare and submit to city council and the department heads a monthly report of pending council business containing a statement of the status of each matter referred to council committee or department head upon which no final action of council has been taken at the council. The report shall be called the council pending business list and shall be included in the agenda packet. And then there's also a council meeting follow-up report that the clerk prepares after each council meeting containing the actions taken at the council meeting. This report is to be circulated at a minimum to the mayor, members of the council, and department heads. And then, of course, the department heads should be responsible for following through. So I don't know if anybody has any other input on that, if this can go to F&A for, review of the ideas or, these, I couldn't find that there was any amendments that removed these reports or these working relationships and recommendations. So I just wanted to make sure that these things are addressed.
All right, so Councilmember Cotton, it sounds like a discussion item. You're not making a motion at this time?
That is correct. I just wanted to bring it up and see if there was any additional council input or referral to committee.
Okay.
I realize the lateness of the hour.
Councilmember Holloway.
So appropriate, the council rules and procedures, the mayor pro tem has the ball on that and through F&A to make changes, revisions, bring that through. So let's take this back to F&A, have discussions. There's probably some archaic things in there that just some house cleaning we need to take care of.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilmember Murphy.
Yeah, so I, as the new person up here, really appreciate Councilmember Cotton kind of just raising this. And I think, I have read through this, but there's a lot here. So I think a reminder of some of what's in our rules and procedures, what's being followed, what is maybe archaic that needs adjustment, and what's in here that maybe we need to, continue to receive, I think is all really good. So I hope that we can continue that discussion. And I'm sure it'll happen at F&A, but perhaps something to consider for the council retreat.
Councilmember Christensen.
I agree. It's a fantastic time to take a look at it. And again, going through the things that we should be doing probably, or things that maybe don't make sense anymore, but also just, I think, to have a general conversation. Obviously, we have a new administration in place. And so there will be, I'm sure, a lot of conversations. I don't know whether it's the council retreat or it can be sooner, just so that everybody kind of understands the best way to go forward and everybody's in the lane that they're supposed to be in, just to make sure that, we're doing the best work that we can for the residents. I think would be really helpful. Also, just based on today, we may want to have the Jurassic Parliament lady come back because it seems like we're getting in it and we're hobbling through, but it might be helpful to have her bring her dinosaurs back in.
So that you are aware, they were not, we started asking in January, not available until June. The lady herself has retired, but her firm has other trainers, none of whom are available until June was the earliest. But it is a significant cost.
Okay.
Significant and well beyond any budget that we have. So this is something that we could, if you like, talk about, or if you'd like to bring this up at FNA, but figuring out how to be honest, I sort of walked away from it when I saw we had no budget for it. I think it's really valuable training. And I thought, okay, got to figure out how to pay for this. And I don't have a solution to that yet, but obviously for what it's worth, I agree that that's extremely valuable training. There are other ways other than having her or them come here. So perhaps city attorney and I can take a little to do to try and get ourselves a little better trained so we can kind of support you a bit more. But I understand that you're also bringing up the training that all of you would get as well, and it's incredibly valuable. Yeah. Do you have follow-up, Councilmember Christensen?
Yeah, then maybe just the conversation or training between like the roles of the mayor and council would be great. And then another idea, just in terms of that, I know that the AWC has put out her trainings before, and I know that the city has video recordings. I know that would not be particularly exciting, but it may still be helpful. You could have some popcorn or something and, get your own little dinosaurs.
Okay, we let us look into that, and if it's acceptable to the council, we can either bring back ideas here or perhaps take some ideas to FNA and try to kind of bring you guys into the loop on options and cost and so forth.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on this topic? All right, moving on to mayor's report. We had the flood event town hall on March 4th. We had a great turnout. We had, we counted 37 residents. We had two of us count the same number, so that was very encouraging. We had a lot more people there. We had press there. We had some other folks. We had Washington State Patrol turned out 3 officers. Yeah, Chief, did I say that right? It's captain and 2 officers. What's the correct way to describe that? No, the of the State Patrol. Yeah, captain and 2 sergeants. So it was fantastic. Our residents were able to talk with them. Our residents were able to see that they turned out to talk about the flood event and to support us. We had a fantastic presentation. We asked our staff, this was not a presentation by mayor or council members, this was our directors connecting with our community. We asked them to give, so of the hour that we had about an hour of structured time and then another half hour following that where we just put our directors available in different corners of the room and let folks go talk to them, ask questions, give input. But what we did was for about 20 minutes give kind of an overview of what we saw from the city, what our directors saw as the significant events that happened, and the lessons that we learned, things that we can improve on going forward. So that was all shared in the presentation. You really missed out a fantastic presentation. My favorite part is the firefighters climbing in the back of a dump truck that was then driven out through the water because it was heavy enough and had a high enough clearance to rescue folks that were stranded in cars. But there was other just fantastic stories there. In any event, then we asked the public to spend about 20 minutes breaking into groups and then giving us feedback on things we did well that we want to make sure we keep doing well. And then the last 20 minutes was tell us things that you saw that would be additional areas for improvement. And so we captured all of that. We're going to have a report out to you of that. You'll see that coming up in your committees this next cycle. We'll be heading towards a report out to the public. And then most importantly, that's being put into an action plan of how we're going to address all those areas for improvement. You'll be seeing that as well in the coming weeks. So great event, great turnout, great job by our presenters. If you get a chance to, because our presenters, that's not what they do day in, day out. What they do is they go solve the problems in our community. They're the folks that get things done. But Chief Horashi was there, Chief Bailey was there, and Parks and Public Works Director Hamlin did a fantastic job of presenting, I thought. And just so you know, there's a bunch of rehearsals that they did to get themselves ready for that. So just a fantastic job. And then a just super job by our support folks that arranged for the event. Big thank you to Snoqualmie Valley School District for hosting us at Mount Si High. But we had some food available, drinks available. We had some ability to look after kids and so that their parents could participate fully. It was just a great effort by our staff, and please give them your thanks when you have time. Twin Peaks Day was Tuesday, February 24th. We had a great turnout. For those that you haven't, those of you that haven't participated in this, the sign, which is in our lobby, the Twin Peaks sign is, we take it out, we mount it, we take it out, and we put it on the Reinig Road where it was in the Twin Peaks series. And the number of people that turn out from all over the world is amazing. There was well over 50 people, I thought, my count, wasn't verified, but my count was well over 50 people turned out. And they just enjoy it so much. And that's a great tourist draw for Snoqualmie, for the whole Upper Valley. Great event. Draw to your attention, the city of Issaquah is encouraging city of Snoqualmie and Valley residents to support efforts that they're focused on to keep the planned Sound Transit Line 3, which would provide service between Kirkland and Bellevue and Issaquah. There's a big question at Sound Transit whether that line is going to stay in the plan or not. As a reminder, residents here, while we're not part of that taxing zone, we don't pay the property tax. Many, our residents have been paying that sales tax for a long, long time when they go and they shop inside the zone. And it's a service that they would very likely take advantage of. So it's something I think is of interest. Just be aware that that's a significant issue, and I think the city of Issaquah would appreciate any help from any of us, as well as our residents, in trying to support them keeping that line in the plan.
Mayor,
Councilmember Johnson.
you know if they still have any of those nice T-shirts?
I do not know. They do have some T-shirts that sort of say "Keep the Line," and I don't know exactly what it says, "Keep Line 3," but and then they've been big groups of them have been going to Sound Transit meetings to try and send the message, hey, the community really wants this. So anyone that can help out with that, I think would be helping our residents. Councilmember Christensen.
Yeah, just a question about whether council would consider signing on to a letter in support of that. I know that it did come up at the meeting that Councilmember Holloway and I attended with the tribe as well. So that may be something to consider doing, a group letter in support of that.
I will circulate to you. I did sign a letter in support on behalf of the city, not on behalf of you, but on behalf of the city. I will circulate it to you. And a letter, if you all were interested in signing similar to that, I think would be very helpful to the whole process. So I'll get that circulated to you. Councilmember Christensen.
If you get it to me by Monday, I'll sign it.
It's a deal.
I'll have to read it first, but.
Okay. We were contacted over the last, since our last meeting, so over the last 2 weeks, by the U.S. 8th District Representative Kim Schreier, whose district Snoqualmie is in, with a potential federal funding opportunity that wasn't really on our radar. We had to move quickly. You'll hear more about this in committee this coming cycle, but we submitted a proposal. We'll give you more of the details on that, but I just mentioned this because A, that's a great opportunity, but B, be aware that our staff really scrambled to meet that short deadline and go in with what I think is a very a request for a very good request, something that should be received well. So we did work with Congresswoman Schreier's office regarding sure we got that in time, that had everything in it needed to have. So there's still some things that we need to submit, but we'll get all that done. You'll hear more about it at committee, but it was a big scramble by our Parks and Public Works people. They did a great job. We've had extensive interviewing for our 4 open positions over the last 2 weeks. I say this because we do panel interviewing. When we interview for a position, a lot of our staff get involved in that to try and make sure we get that right. We've conducted interviews for city clerk. We have identified qualified candidates, So we're now moving through that process. We have hired a communications coordinator whose first day on the job was today. So that's helped to Nicole Wiebe and that whole function. So, and just welcome support in the whole communications area. Assistant planner interviews have been conducted. Qualified candidates have been identified there. We're going through the process. So it's a lot of work to get those set up, a lot of commitment of time from our staff, and that's all been happening while we've been doing all the other things. We've been, let's see, the last thing I want to bring up is we shared with the council, it was in your agenda packet, the immigration topics that were brought up by members of the public at a previous meeting. Shared with you the responses, the two responses that have gone out from the city, one from the police chief and me and the mayor of North Bend, and then another that came out from the city on additional topics. So we've given you a report, it's in your advanced materials with the kind of status on each of the requests and where we're at with that. With that, let's see, in the mayor's report, are there any commission or committee liaison reports? Councilmember Holloway.
Well, kind of like jump back committee of the whole. Given the public comment we had, the meeting where Juniper is discussing with the public is next Tuesday from 5 to 7. Can we shift our Tuesday meetings to Wednesday so that some of us might attend? Do you want me to make a motion?
Yes.
All right. Move, I think it's community development and F&A from Tuesday next week to Wednesday next week.
Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Christian, moved by Councilmember Holloway. Hold on, we'll ask the city attorney to comment.
I just want to say, I think it would be Parks and Public Works and F&A.
It's late. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
Hey, accept the friendly amendment to my motion.
so to restate, the motion is to move Parks and Public Works Committee and F&A Committee from Tuesday to Wednesday of next week. And that motion was seconded by Councilmember Christensen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The motion carries. Councilmember Christensen.
Since we're going to be doing that, I'm just flagging it that we may also want to be noticing it as a potential quorum.
We will definitely do that.
Yeah, I'll be sure to get it noticed.
Sneak in.
Okay. Any other commission committee liaison reports? Councilmember Christensen.
Thank you. Yeah, Councilmember Holloway and it is late. Did meet with the tribe. It was a very friendly conversation. I did want to pass along that they were very pleased. We did what we said we would do, essentially putting down the panels, as well as moving the story pole that was located in downtown. They appreciate that. And they also referenced the fact that the city did fly the tribal flag over City Hall when they met last, and that was appreciated significantly as well. I don't speak for the tribe, but there was just general, they're looking forward to having the opportunity to work with us on a number of things that impact, the valley as a whole and the residents. So.
Good meeting.
Councilmember Johnson.
Given that we're not quite at the end of the agenda yet, do we need a motion to extend past 10 before we would go into executive session?
Maybe hold on to that thought for a moment. I've been watching the clock carefully with that very thought in mind. Any further commissioner or committee liaison reports? If not, we'll adjourn into executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. The meeting is expected to take no more than 20 minutes. It is not expected that we'll take any action following the executive session. We'll return at 2 minutes to 10 following that executive session. We're inviting city attorney and city administrator are invited to join us in the executive session. We will be adjourning to the conference room upstairs.